The owner of the Fennell Bay Auto Service Centre and a second attendant had just left the garage briefly at about 7 when the offender made his move. A lone 25-year-old female attendant behind the counter inside was confronted by the man brandishing a crudely twisted and sharpened coat hanger. He threatened her with the weapon and told her to open the cash register. The man then helped himself to the afternoon's takings and ran off. The attendant called the police. It's only the second time that Stan Gunzel and his wife Marjorie, who've been running the business for 35 years, have been robbed. The offender made no effort to conceal his identity, and police have a good description. They're seeking a man about 20 years old with sandy-coloured wavy hair. He's about 165 centimetres in height and was wearing blue jeans and a blue flannelette shirt.
While Al Green admits he may have a few years on the other players, he says he has the secret to be a winner.
I found the fountain of youth. No, really, I mean, you got to plan for the future, but at the same time, you got to have those old veterans in there to say, okay, young guys, let me, show you this is the way to do it.
A personal friend of Ken Cole's for 12 years, dating back to America and then the Adelaide 36ers, Green says he made his final decision to play with the Falcons only days ago, signing up for 3 years. Al Green is a guard and will be used in a playmaking role. He lines up with the Falcons' other new import, Jerry Everett, for an explosive combination.
Me and Everett has been arch enemies for years. When we played against each other here 2 or 3 years ago, and we almost had a fight off the court and everything. So me and Everett, I'm looking forward to playing with him. He's a great player, and I think I can help him, and I'm definitely sure he can help me.
Meanwhile, the Newcastle District Cricket Association has hit their financial burdens for Six with a 5-figure donation today from NIB. NIB has renewed its sponsorship from last year, helping players with coaching, youth development and finance for representative tours.
The only sign to motorists that a truck enforcement was in progress in Newcastle was the uncommon sight of trucks driving with their headlights on. Police asked truckies to use their lights as a demonstration of support for Operation Friendly, an enforcement where the target was informed before the operation began.
They've shown their support behind it from the trucking firms and the Transport Workers Union in the Newcastle area, and to show their support they are driving during the daylight hours with their headlights on.
Police agree with truckies that most drivers are responsible and only a handful are giving the industry its image problem. However, they're inviting drivers to prove that by obeying the road rules before police are forced to take action.
We have not got a problem similar to Goulburn area. We have the majority of drivers in the Newcastle area are law-abiding drivers. The number of breaches detected are very low, which I feel it could be their support behind us, that they're slowing down. The weather may have some contribution to it, but we're just hoping that it is their support behind it.
The enforcement will continue until midnight on Wednesday, but already police say they've noticed an improvement in driver behaviour, one they hope will be a lasting change. The Transport Minister has long been aware of the plight of Newcastle's State dockyard area and the adjoining Basin coal loader, both of which have languished in a changed economic environment. Now a new proposal may see the 22-hectare parcel of land become the centre for a consolidated Hunter Ports Authority. Bulk handling facilities and cargo services along Lee Wharf, presently straggling along the length of Wharf Road, would be relocated to the dockyard area. The trade-off for the land would be an immediate freeing up of prime harbour foreshore locations for commercial development. The elimination of the Honeysuckle goods yard would give the city a new growth potential direct from Hunter Street down to the water's edge. The proposal is still subject to detailed analysis by the Ports Authority and could take 10 years to be completed if given the go-ahead. However, it's understood the proposal has been warmly supported by local Ports Authority officers as the best option yet proposed for the dockyard site. Less than 24 hours after receiving the nod from the Minister, the Maritime Services Board Hunter Ports Authority is already talking about how the move will be made. The plan is to consolidate all cargo handling facilities presently straggling the length of Newcastle's foreshore to the now derelict State dockyard site on the other side of the harbour. Apart from giving the Ports Authority a central location, Managing Director Jeff Connell says there'll be other significant advantages for both the port and the city.
The benefit for the city, of course, is that with the redevelopment of the Honeysuckle area being planned and about to progress, the opportunity for the city to come right down to the waterfront, right along the southern shore of the harbour, will be a substantial benefit.
Despite forecasts of an economic recession, local developers believe there will be interest in the site freed up by the MSB move. If not locally, then from overseas investors who will see this as an opportunity. Local town planner Kevin Hoffman was part of the group that proposed the Nova Rail project, which saw the first move to open up the foreshore with the release of land at the Honeysuckle goods yard for new development. He says the opportunity to draw up new plans extending right to the waterfront will draw interest even from overseas.
Any development that will go there will be a mixed form of development, which will include residential, parkland, shopping centre, office buildings and mixed uses, which we haven't seen in Newcastle at all. So it's important that the authorities adjust to the necessary planning controls to allow the proper flexibility.
But Lord Mayor John McNaughton says his council is prepared for new development ideas. Is it a case of having to perhaps rethink your zoning regulations and other council conditions to encourage that development?
No, I don't think so. I think they're all in place. We've recently made an amendment to our commercial zones to encourage residential development in those zones. It's always been possible, but we're now positively encouraging it.
But whether the city's ready or not, the Hunter Ports Authority is already preparing to make the move.
The type of diagram we've worked out here for the ultimate development of the site may take up to 10 years, but it's my belief we can start moving during this current financial year.
Guy Waters had some colourful things on his mind today, but the venue controversy wasn't one of them.
Well, this is the first I've heard about it actually, but the fight's still on. It's just a venue, so that doesn't really matter, you know. Mine's still starting training, and that's all I've got to do at the moment.
Promoter Bill Morty says the fight will definitely go ahead in early December, but he doesn't know where. The new hard-punching Waters is rated a real chance of springing an upset, and Triple World champ Jeff Fennick says he'll take money from anyone wanting to back the Englishman.
So much looking forward to having, an Australian world champion. At the moment we don't have any, but I'm sure that Guy will fill the bill and be a very worthy one come December.
Brothers Troy and Dean both have bouts scheduled for the 7th of November at Ettalong. For Troy, the fight against Colombian champion Annabel Miranda will be a chance to prove he's recovered from a recent car accident and is ready to challenge for a world crown once again.
These things are sent to try us, and I know this made me a stronger person for it coming back, and hopefully that I can prove a lot of people that I have got the talent and ability to win a world title if given that second opportunity.
And for Dean, his Australian heavyweight title defence against Queenslander Craig Peterson is perhaps his last shot at international prominence.
It's a big one for me, but I've been working hard and I'm looking forward to it. I'm a lot stronger than I was for my last fight. So if Peterson thinks he's got an easy fight, well, he's very, very mistaken.
Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
Police say two of the victims were the driver and passenger of a car which ran through a stop sign into the path of a semi-trailer carrying 25 tonnes of blue metal. The impact threw the 44-year-old truck driver onto the roadway. He and the two 25-year-olds in the car all died instantly. The semi then careered into a car yard, demolishing 10 vehicles and damaging another 12.
Dr Visnavardhan relived his ordeal in Kuwait, describing the disbelief and then growing alarm over the invasion of the tiny country by Iraqi troops. For 2 months after the invasion, he and his wife lived in an uncertain world where Iraqi soldiers walked the streets, dealing out summary execution one moment, then demonstrating old-world chivalry the next. Dr Visnavardhan's wife was allowed to leave about 1 month after the occupation. He remained behind under virtual house arrest. He knows what the 32 Australian men still in Baghdad and Kuwait are experiencing.
It's a pretty bad experience because they can't leave their apartment and they have to stay there, and food is not a problem. They got enough food, but you need a bit more than that, and also you don't know what's going to happen. Will this finish in a month or 6 months or something like that? So they're in a very tight situation, not knowing what's going to happen.
While he's convinced the hostages won't be harmed, he believes an Australian Navy video of sailors dressed up as Arabs and parroting Muslim prayer rituals while on patrol in the Gulf may have done more damage than authorities realise.
That was the most damaging thing that could have been done to Australians there, and they would take that very seriously because they're very sensitive to religion. I mean, we never even talk about Islam because that's a very, very sensitive area. To show a video like that, it was very bad taste, and I'm sure that will have some effect on the release of Australians. I think there must be an apology coming from somebody from higher up and to counteract that sort of thing.
Dr Visnavardhan eventually skipped Kuwait, taking a car and a few belongings, then spending a week in a refugee camp before reaching the Australian Embassy in Amman. He says Australian confusion over why so many other national groups are being released before them may be attributed directly to that video.
An emergency call was made just before 3 o'clock when smoke was seen pouring from the roof of the Chinese restaurant. After breaking through the front door, firefighters wearing breathing apparatus quickly brought the blaze under control. It's believed the fire started in the kitchen where a gas stove burner was left on under a wok filled with oil. It smouldered for hours, generating intense heat. Eventually the flames engulfed the walls and reached the ceilings. Charlestown Station Officer Ron Connell says the amount of smoke damage and melted fittings show the fire burned for some time before it was detected. A combination of luck and good timing prevented it spreading further and causing major damage to nearby shops.
If we hadn't got here as prompt as we did, I'm sure it would have spread. Actually, the fire was going through the back wall of the shop when we got there, so it was only a matter of probably another 10 minutes and it would have, it could have been, whole building could have been well alight. If the air had got to it, like a window had broken before we got here, well, it would have burst into flames and we would have had an inferno on our hand.
A 6-man compensation committee was assembled in August, made up of 2 SRA employees, 3 public representatives and MLC John Jobling. It was designed to act in an advisory capacity in damage claims and payouts. But Bill Rufus, Bob Bell and Clive Davies feel they were being used as either puppets or mushrooms, being kept in the dark and unable to fulfil their duty. The SRA has produced a damage claim form without consulting the committee or the public. In fact, the committee has not been assembled or consulted once since it was formed.
The way it was supposed to be in the first place was that the committee was to meet at the Building Centre to discuss the format for what the clauses were going to be in the claim. And this was not done, and it was printed to the papers unbeknownst to us.
The trio announced their resignation this morning.
We will not have any part of the committee with the SRA unless the public is going to be guaranteed a fair deal.
However, the meeting moved a vote of confidence in the men, believing they will ultimately be the only way residents will get a fair go. Their next battle will be over the claim form, which says compensation will only be for cosmetic damage, and any further claims will be challenged in court. There is also a deed of release attached, which exempts the SRA from any future claims. The committee urged residents to lodge their damage claims without signing the release form. The semi-naked body of 46-year-old June Brislane was found at the back of the abandoned building yesterday. She had been impaled on a steel survey stake similar to this and died of massive head injuries. The mother of 2 was known to frequent city hotels, and police are trying to trace her movements during the last 36 hours of her life.
We've been able to establish that she left home last Thursday morning, didn't return home that night, but we've been able to trace her movements up until 10 o'clock on Thursday evening, and we have a sighting now of her between 5 and 6 p.m. on Friday evening at Jerry's Cafe in Scott Street.
The cafe is just a couple of blocks from where her body was found. It's believed the attack occurred just after midnight. 40 people have been interviewed, but so far police have little information on what led up to the brutal murder. The victim's family contacted police last night after recognising her jewellery on an NBN news report. Her black vinyl handbag has not yet been recovered. It contains personal papers and a Commonwealth Bank keycard in the name of June Brislane, and police believe it could provide a valuable lead.
We're appealing for anybody who knows this lady or has seen this lady that evening after 6 p.m. to contact us.
Hoy's season has been anything but spectacular, and Sunday's performance in Brazil is just what the doctor ordered. Back on his home beach, Hoy was quick to praise his conqueror Fabio Correia.
His wave selection was better than mine, so he got better waves, and my waves weren't as good as his, so and the crowd was sort of amping the judges, and I think he got overscored a little bit, but I didn't surf as good as he did. He definitely won on the day.
Now ranked 34 in the world, and with Margaret River, the BHP still international in Newcastle, and Hawaii to go, he's desperate to crack the top 30 for the year.
I haven't had that good a year other than that result, but from now on I'm going to try and, coming up, they're all good wave contests from now on, Newcastle, Margaret River and Hawaii, so hopefully I'll do well in those because I'd rather waves with a bit of power, so hopefully from here I'll keep going up. Hopefully I can try and make the top 30, that's my major goal.
Not only has Hoy battled in different form in 1990, he's run into sponsored trouble, as O'Neill Clothing US is experiencing financial difficulties. The blonde bomber could do with some threads.
I like wearing good clothes, I don't like wearing bad clothes, so as long as the clothes are good and the money's good, I'll go anywhere.
Matt Hoy will be back in action this weekend at Merewether Beach when he tries to help the home club to its 4th straight win in the Surf League of Australia.
We've won the title 3 years in a row, so hopefully we can do it 4 and make everyone happy, make the local crowd happy. I think that'll be a big advantage with the local crowd behind us.
It might look like a simple exercise, but if these were cars rather than witches' hats that were being dodged, even at 60 kilometres an hour there would be bent mudguards and broken headlights. Raise the speed or wet the road and the chances of a crash go up. But it's now been proven that these simple lessons in accident avoidance can pay off.
They are very beneficial in reducing the amount of accidents that occur with professional drivers, salespeople, sales representatives, other drivers such as on mine sites who drive staff vehicles and so forth.
The New South Wales division of the National Safety Council, with driver educator Bill Hartnett, is now running courses on a regular basis for companies and government departments keen to improve the safety record of their employees. Shortland County Council, IPEC and Brambles are amongst those represented in today's course. Previously, the lack of a suitable training area has been a limitation in the Newcastle area. But on the Metal Trades Union's rostered day off, the tube maker's car park is all but empty 1 day a month.
Now we've got, with kind cooperation from tube makers and the employees of tube makers, their rostered day off, we use their car park, which is great. And now we can provide a better service for those inquiries that we get.
A new incentive for companies to provide driver education is the federal government's compulsory training levy. For professional drivers, learning the art of crash avoidance is now recognised by the tax office as legitimate training.